camera is on.
Welcome to Nights at the Round Table, a round table discussion on speculative fiction books and film. Hi everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Nights at the Round Table. Today we are discussing the children's book by Ursula Le Guin, Catwings, and I'm sitting here with Caroline. And I'm going to start with general impressions of the book. What did you think, Caroline?
I loved it so much. But then again, I'm very biased when it comes to Ursula K. Le Guin, so...
Okay, so yeah. Alright, fair enough. I also really enjoyed the book. It's a really sweet little book. I was expecting more, so when I picked up the book, I'm like, wait, what, is this it? But then I remembered it was for kids. So
very, very tiny.
It's little. But it's very adorable. The illustrations are gorgeous.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also cats. So what specifically about the book did you really like?
I loved the search for companionship and how, you have I think I love the same thing about the book as I love about the Little Prince and that scene with the fox that is the best scene out of the book.
Sure. Keep going? I don't have kids. I'm
sorry. You did not read The Little Prince? How can we still be friends?
I know, right? I went from, The Hungry Hungry Caterpillar to reading Tolkien in the space of a couple of years. So, I skipped a lot of the smaller books.
Well, me too, but it's like an essential.
Anyway.
I'll forgive you because I'm French and you're not.
Thanks.
Okay, so, it was the whole about, finding someone who's really, really different from you and has completely different perspective, and then finding the thing that you're seeking in that other person.
You went way deeper into that than I did.
I'm sorry, I tend to do that.
No, that's good.
But
I didn't even think about it from that perspective.
The very, very last line, their hands are kind.
That's the line that caught me. Yes. Their hands are kind. So, to me, it was really more about, finding the right people, which is essentially it. And then, sort of with the kids being, their hands are kind. And so now the cats are safe. And that whole thing just made me go, oh, yeah, we could all use a little more kindness.
Me too.
Yeah.
But it's also the fact that they're searching for kind hands because their mother told them tales of kind hands.
Yeah.
But all they've ever known is, feet and shouts and stones.
And being picked up so hard that it hurts. Yeah. Yeah. And I liked that it was a group of cats that didn't fit in.
Yeah.
There were cats, but they had wings.
Yeah.
So they weren't really cats. They also were not birds.
Mm-hmm.
And I genuinely got a little afraid when the owl went after one of the kittens. I was just like, no, please no.
Oh, me too.
That was done really well.
It was. And because it was Ursula K. Le Guin, I knew that anything could go, so...
Yeah. Really? Oh, that would have been a bit much for a kid's book, I think, don't you think?
No.
No?
Have you read Where the Red Ferns Grow, or The Bridge to Terabithia, or any of these things? Children's books can be absolutely brutal.
I know young adult can be really brutal.
Oh, no.
But children's books for kids this age? Really? Oh.
Because, they didn't used to coddle kids the way that we do now.
Yes. No, that I do know. And that was one of my gripes with a lot of children's literature. I think it's why I skipped a lot of, kids' books when I was little, because I hated being pandered to. I'm like, this isn't interesting for me. So I'd jump up to more adult books, because they were the ones with the interesting stories.
But there's a ton of children's books who, don't put on gloves and... Yeah.
I have to go back and start reading children's books now.
I do, because of my job at the library.
Oh, yeah.
But that's how I discovered a lot of these things, because you're reading some of these books with an adult eye, and you're like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
And children don't see all the things that we see, either.
That's true.
But yeah, I the parts with when they're in the forest with the birds really struck me as well, because they're kind of trying to fit in with the birds, and all the birds are frightened of them, and because they're frightened of them, they're acting violently towards them. And I thought that was...
But are they really trying to fit in with the birds? Because they're still hunting.
They're still hunting, but they're also, you know, like, they're winged beings, and the other winged beings in the forest where they're at, you know, they're kind of just trying to leave well alone at this point, and just kind of live in their tree, not bothering anybody and not being bothered by anybody. And the birds are justifiably terrified of them. And because of that, they attack them constantly, like is the case with the owl.
Yeah. I loved the description of the owl.
Me too.
She wasn't a fast thinker. She was a long thinker.
Yes.
And then just... Because even in my head, the words slowed down because I was reading the owl.
Yeah.
And instead of, you know, this will not do, it was this will not do.
Yeah.
In my head as I'm reading the thing. And it's just... It was so well done. It's amazing how in such a small amount of space you can create these characters that are really bizarrely complex, even though they've been given maybe 3 lines. So,
but this is the thing about children's book. People keep thinking and saying that writing children's book is easy.
No,
but
oh God, no. It's really not.
Because you have so few words to tell your story with. And Ursula Le Guin uses each and every one of those words very well.
Yes. Yeah, I think very deliberately. It feels very deliberate rather than just, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. It felt much more deliberate.
Oh my gosh, and there's a bit in the beginning where the mother, my God, that struck me so well. Mr. Jane Tabby watched them. Her heart was full of pride. They are remarkable children, Jane, said Mr. Tom Jones, in his soft, deep voice. I
read that in a Welsh accent.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Sorry, I don't have a Welsh accent. Ours will be remarkable too, Tom. That exchange is, you know, it's so deep. Like, you can feel the sort of love between them and the thing about being a step-parent and what it's like to watch these children that are not yours, but that you want to love because you're with the person that, you know, parented them.
Yeah.
And to have that sort of, like, push it, I don't know how to describe it exactly. It really struck me, that exchange.
It did not strike me at all. But again, that's because it's not something I generally have all that much experience with. So, I guess it would.
Yeah, being a parent and having that relationship of, you know, you are more than just a couple when you've made a child. And making a child together and raising a child together is an experience that can't really be replaced, you know, and when you're part of a couple, when you're with someone who has children and they're not yours as well, it can be a little bit alienating.
I can see that. Yeah, definitely.
So that to me was it was a very rich and very meaningful exchange, because I could feel all of that behind these 2 simple lines.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so I, again, don't have a lot of experience with children's books. I didn't read them much when I was little. I mean, when I was really little, maybe. But I don't remember them. So I jumped. I also missed a lot of young adult books for the same reason. Like, I jumped because I felt that they weren't really relevant to me. So I would jump between, like, really young books, and then I started reading really adult books when I was quite young. So this is all new to me, and I am astonished at how deep these books can be, given that there are 4 chapters of maybe 100 words each.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty impressive.
No, it really is, and I think this is why I never stopped reading children's books, even as a teenager. I would read middle grade books because they were just so rich and so deep, and most of the really good ones not only didn't talk down to the children, but they also used words and phrases and concepts that would, you know, repel most adults.
Mm.
Because you would think that you read a children's book because it's simple, but you don't. It's just short. It's not the same thing.
Yes. Yeah, and the word choice might be simple, but the ideas or the themes behind it certainly are not. Yeah. Is there anything you didn't like about the book?
honestly, no. I loved it. And this is going to be one that I read to my kids.
If I had kids, I would probably read them this too. It's particularly the kind hands bit at the end.
Oh, the kind hands, my God.
It's really weird for me to try and explain it, but honestly, that last sentence had me sitting after the book was done, just sitting there.
Oh, me too. I actually grabbed the book, and I read it. You know, I went to my spouse, and I'm like, listen. Oh, James, Harriet whispered, their hands are kind. And she just stared at me like I was a crazy person, but it was hugely meaningful having read the book.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Because I was wondering where it was going to go. I'm like...
Yeah, me too.
So there are these alley cats. They have wings. They fly off. They go to the forest. Find out that the forest is not much safer than an alley. And then what?
Yeah.
And then they find 2 kids who feed them and cuddle them and make them feel happy.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah. But it's really about how, you know, a home is not a place as well.
Yeah.
Like, their home was their mother, but the place where their mother lived was not a home.
Was not home, yeah.
So,
and again, it's the same with the tree.
Yeah.
Like, they lived in the tree, but that was not really their home.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. I think also there might have been, like, a slight jab at people.
You think?
In this book. When the older brother is like, and we won't tell anybody about them too, because you know how people are. I'm like,
of course.
Yeah, I know how people are.
Mm-hmm.
This might be the shortest episode ever, because there's, like, literally not much else to...
Well, I mean, there's what, like 400 words?
400 words? Yeah.
Maybe?
4 chapters?
There's 41 pages, heavy with illustrations.
Yeah.
So,
which, you know, it's worth picking up a physical copy of the book.
Absolutely.
Because the illustrations are just gorgeous.
yes.
But yeah, it was such a cute book, and I'm really surprised at how much depth you can find in something that is this short.
Yeah.
And this simply written. Blown away.
Me too.
So the biggest theme for you, what was the biggest theme? Because there were a couple in there.
Yeah, there were a couple in there. For me, the biggest, I think, would be family, found family. Because it's a big theme in my life, too, so I tend to look for it.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, found family is a big thing. Yeah, that's what I got, too. It's like, sometimes, I mean, you can leave a family that's really wonderful and kind. Sometimes that family really isn't wonderful and kind.
Yeah.
And you can find all of that love and that fulfillment in people who aren't actually blood related.
Yeah.
And, you know, all it takes really are kind hands. And then you've got family, and it's awesome. And you can be happy and content.
I agree.
So yeah, that was a really big theme. That was the only really major theme. I mean, there were a few others, like the mouse made me smile.
Yeah.
Like, you could always try tunnels. Like, what's the big deal? You guys could always fly. I'm always in trouble from you swooping up around up there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like the cats? Oh well! It's all relative, isn't it? That made me smile.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. If you were to give this a star rating then, for this very short episode.
5 star.
5 stars?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Actually, for a kid's book, I would also give it 5 stars, given that the audience is for children.
Yeah.
And how surprised I was at the depth in this book. Because it really it wasn't just an adventure. Like, there was a lot packed in there. So, yeah, 5 stars. I'd read that to my kids, if ever I get kids.
Godchild. You can read it to your godchild.
I could read it to my godchild. There we go. That's almost like having a kid, except I can give her back. I don't know why she's crying.
Fix it.
Fix it. Alright, do you want to pick the next one?
The Drowning of the Three by Stephen King.
Drawing of the three.
Drawing. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's my terrible handwriting. I wrote it in cursive, that's my fault. The Drawing of the Three by Stephen King. I am not a major King fan. I mean, I really do like the
second Dark Tower.
Oh, is it the second Dark Tower? I haven't read the second Dark Tower yet. I read the first one like 5 times.
Well, then I think you should move on to the second.
I think it's time to move on to the second one. Why did I mention that it was part of the Dark Tower when I wrote it down? Yay! Then I'm happy about this one. Because generally speaking, I'm not a King fan, but I really did like the first book of the Dark Tower series. So, yay! The Drawing of the Three, The Dark Tower by Stephen King. That's the book we'll be discussing next month. If you had any thoughts about Catwings, do leave them in the comments down below. We're also taking suggestions for other books, so if you think that there's a book that we haven't read that we really should read and discuss, leave that in the comments down below. And also on our Goodreads book clubs page, which I will eventually get round to linking to. I swear to God, one of these days it'll be in the description. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Bye!
Bye!
It's
This is starting
on.
off
We
well.
don't sound so sure about that.